everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's class we are going to learn about mainly reproduction in flowering plants. In the previous classes we have seen about the reproduction in the organisms, reproduction in the animals, okay, like human body, female reproductive system, male reproductive system, everything we covered. So if anyone want to see those videos, you can able to subscribe to my channel Smart at Bio by Prashanti ma'am. Okay, so and at the same time, if you want another explanations or discussions, please comment in the comment sections. Okay, so without wasting time, we'll start the session. So here mainly sexual reproduction takes place only in the flowering plants. Okay, flowering plants, we have another name, that is angiosperms. Angiosperms for flowering plants, it is also known as angiosperms. Okay, angiosperms means, what is the meaning of angiosperms? True seeded plant. Okay, true seeded plant means the seed was completely covered by a seed coat. Okay, so that type of plants are known as angiosperms. Then what about the other type of plants which don't have seed coat? Those plants also known as gymnosperms. So these are the basic information about the biology. One is angiosperms, flowering plants, and another one is the gymnosperms, non-flowering plants. Okay, so here, so those flowering plants in the name only we are discussing, that is about the flower. So దేని గురించి డిస్కస్ చేస్తున్నా ఇక్కడ ఫ్లవర్. సో వై? బికాజ్ ఫ్లవర్ ఈజ్ ద ఇంపార్టెంట్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది ప్లాంట్ విచ్ ఈజ్ గోయింగ్ టు ఇన్వాల్వ్స్ ఇన్ ద సెక్షువల్ రీప్రొడక్షన్. Why? Because the flower structure itself, it was suitable to perform the sexual reproduction. So that's why here in today's session we are going to see about the flower and its structures, and at the same time, see here, these are the topics we are going to cover today. So what are the topics? Significance of the flower, what is the importance, and then structure of a flower, what are the structures are present in the flower. So these are the structures. After that, pollination and fertilization, everything we are going to cover in today's session. So for that, what you have to do, you have to watch the full video without any interruption. So we'll start the session. First, significance of the flower. What is the significance? If there is no flower in the plant, there is no chance of sexual reproduction. So that is the main aid for the reproduction. Main aid for the sexual reproduction is the flower. Okay, so in the flower, if you see the structure is very important. The structure plays very important role in the sexual reproduction. So here, once observe the structure. Now we'll see the structure. So in the structure, normally we have seen many flowers. So how the flower will be? So the flower is arranged in the whorls. Okay, how many whorls? It may be arranged in, once observe it carefully. So the flower is arranged in the whorls, outer whorls and the middle whorls and the inner whorls. Like that, the flower is going to be arranged. So these are called whorls, we'll say. Okay, whorls. Very important word here, whorl. So how many whorls are there? See here, there are mainly 4 whorls are present. Maybe in between the whorls there are many other layers also. Okay, so in the first whorl means first section. So here we have the structure, calyx part means the sepal parts, the green color portion we are going to see just beneath the flower, the green color portion. See here, this is the green color portions. These structures are known as sepals. These are the units of sepals. Units of sepals are joined together. So these units of sepals are joined together. Combined sepals are known as calyx. Okay, combined sepals means these are not free. So everything is covered like a single unit. That structure is known as calyx. After that, this is the first whorl. So first whorl in the flower is calyx. So this calyx is made up of sepals, and this sepals jointed together, it forms as a petaloid. It forms as a petaloid structure. In the bud stage means in the very young stage of the flower, the complete flower was covered by the calyx. Complete flower, it was covered by the calyx. We have seen many rose flowers, okay, not only rose flowers, even hibiscus, like all the flowers, maximum flowers in the bud stage, it was completely covered by the calyx, and it is green in color. Maximum it is green in color. So this calyx, it may be prominent, means it is present must in that flower, otherwise it may be absent also in some other flowers. So that is about the calyx. Next part, that is corolla. Second part is corolla. So corolla means what? So corolla means the colored portion of the flower. The colorful portion of the flower is corolla, and it was made up of petals, okay. It made up of petals. Petals ante enti? What is the meaning of petal here? The colorful portion, very thin layer. It is made up of very thin and transparent smooth layers is petals. So these petals are having the good fragrance, nice fragrance is present in those petals, so that it can able to attract the insects and animals. So why it has to attract the insects and animals? Because for the very crucial function, that is pollination. Why? Because insects and animals are the what? So they are the vectors. So they are the vectors, or they are the pollinators. They can able to transmit. They transport the pollen grains from one flower to another flower, or from the same flower also. So they are the good pollinators. How to attract the good pollinators? By having the fragrance. So fragrance or nothing but smell, very nice smell is going to be secreted from the plants, so that it can able to attract the insects and animals. So very important function. That is about the corolla. Corolla means it is made up of petals, and these petals, maybe it was arranged in a single layer like hibiscus, and it may be arranged in many layers, okay. So here two types of petals will be there. So, and some petals will be joined together and it forms as a single unit, and some flowers may be free, okay. So that is about the corolla. Now we are going to see very important structure, that is androecium and gynoecium structures. Androecium and gynoecium means what? In Sanskrit word, what is this androecium and gynoecium? Very simple. Androecium and gynoecium are the structures which contains and which produces the male gametes and female gametes. Very important cells. Male gametes and female gametes are very important for the sexual reproduction, and those cells are going to be produced in the androecium and gynoecium, okay. So androecium means what? So it means male reproductive part. Male reproductive part of the flower. Male reproductive part of the flower. Male reproductive part of the flower is known as androecium. So write this point. Male reproductive part of the flower is known as androecium. Androecium, right? And then, so this androecium, see the flower here. So what is the androecium? So this entire structure with anther and filament together, it is known as stamen. So stamen is also known as androecium. Stamen is also known as androecium. So what this stamen contains? What are the parts present in the stamen? Once observe here the bulged portion. See here the bulged portion and the tube like thin structure together, it is known as stamen, okay. The bulged portion is known as anther, and it is connected to the thin filament. Thin tube-like structure is known as filament. Anther is getting support from the filament. These are the very two important structures of the androecium. After that, see here, anther and filament. So now we are going to see in detail structure of the anther, very detailed structure of the anther. So how this anther is going to be formed, everything in depth we have in the subject. That's why listen carefully and note down the important points. So after that, now we'll see the anther structure. So if you want to draw the diagram, you can draw. And once again, see this part also, gynoecium. After that, we'll see the internal structure of the anther. So gynoecium means it is also known as pistil. Pistil is nothing but pistils, also known as carpels. So this carpel is the female reproductive part which produces the female gametes. So what are the three structures are present here? So one is stigma, and the long tubular structure is known as a style, and then oval like shaped structure is known as ovary. So here stigma is responsible to receive the pollen grains, and style is responsible to transport the pollen grains from stigma to the ovary, and ovary is responsible to store the ovules. See here, these all are the ovules. So this ovary is storing the ovules for the fertilization purpose. It is waiting for the fertilization purpose. After that, we'll see the structure of anther. So in the structure of anther, we have many important points, and it is also asked as an important question. So here, so anther is normally, it is a four-lobed structure. Four-lobed structure means here and back side also it will be having the four divisions. So one anther is equally divided into four lobes. Okay. Now if we see the transverse section, very important part, that is inside the transverse section we have many layers together. See here, this is the transverse section of the anther. So first layer, so outermost layer is known as epidermis. Only one layer of cells. So here it contains one layer of thin cells. One layer of thin cells are present in the epidermis. Next layer is endothecium. Okay, endothecium is the next layer below the epidermis is endothecium. And then, so here the middle, it contains the innermost structures are known as tapetum. Okay, tapetum. So here the in between it contains the middle layer. Inside it contains the pollen grains, pollen sacs, and pollen sac contains the pollen grains. Very simple structure of the anther. So mainly here it contains the four important structures. First one is the epidermis, otherwise from the inner side it is tapetum. After that it contains middle layer. It is made up of 3 to 4 layers of cells, and after that it contains the endothecium. Okay, so after endothecium it contains the epidermis. So inside the anther, in the beginning stages, it contains the parenchymatous cells. Parenchymatous cells means, see here, parenchymatous cells means normally the cells are outer epidermis and the cells are arranged in the manner. Same size and shape cells are going to be arranged. So this parenchymatous tissue or parenchymatous cells, parenchymatous cells. Later they are going to be divided into two layers. Later they are going to divide into two layers. See here, parenchymatous cells, outer parietal cells, outer parietal cells, outer parietal cells, and inner sporogenous cells, inner sporogenous cells. So inside the anther it contains the parenchymatous cells. This parenchymatous cells, after the growth they are going to differentiate into two layers. Those layers are outer parietal cells and then inner sporogenous cells. Outer parietal cells for protection purpose and the sporogenous cells for microspore production purpose. Okay, so the pollen grains, also known as microspores, here they are very small in size, that's why they are known as microspores. Okay, now we'll see the microspore formation. So the production of microspores are known as microsporogenesis. Okay, production of microspores is known as microsporogenesis. How the microsporogenesis is going to be formed? See here, from the inner sporogenous cells, this inner sporogenous cells are going to produce mother microsporangia structures. So this microsporangia is producing microsporocytes, and they are going to form pollen grains. So it is a very simple flow chart. So from the sporogenous cells it forms the microsporangia. So from the microsporangia, that is nothing but mother microspore cell is producing microsporocytes. After the microsporocytes, it producing the pollen grains. So during this process, this microsporocytes, so see here, this microsporocytes, it was covered by, see here, imagine this is a microsporocyte. The outer layer, this outer layer is formed by what? Okay, sporopollenin. It is made up of sporopollenin. And then inner layer, see, inner layer is formed with the pectin and cellulose. Pectin and cellulose materials. These are the two layers, tough layers. So outer layer is known as exine and the inner layer is known as inline. Outer is known as exine and inner layers are known as inline. So exine layers are made up of sporopollenin and inner layers are made up of pectin and cellulose. After that, so this microspore, it was covered by, okay, callose layers. So these are layers. So after the growth, so this is producing two types of cells. One is generative cells, another one is the vegetative cell. Okay, so generative cell is present inside. The generative cell is present inside the microspore. So this layers is going to dissolve and it releasing the pollen grains outside. So when the callose layers are dissolving and it releasing the pollen grains, okay, so this pollen grains is going to reach the stigma of the carpel. Okay, stigma of the carpel. Okay, now we'll see the female reproductive part, gynoecium, and after that what are the other processes like pollination and then fertilization. Everything we are going to see now. So note down these important points, otherwise you can take the screenshot also. Okay, so next we'll go to the pistil part. So pistil part is very, very important part. See here, pistil part contains the stigma and style and then ovary. It is attached to the thalamus. So here the pollen grains are going to reach the stigma. It reaches the stigma. So after reaching the stigma, this, see, the stigma is having the water content, the stigma which contains the water. So the pollen is going to absorb that water, and it is forming the passage. Okay, so this passage is also known as pollen tube. Okay, pollen tube. So through this pollen tube, it is the male gametes, they are nothing but which is present in the generative cells are going to be released from the generative cells. The male non-motile means it can't able to move fastly. Those type of gametes are known as non-motile gametes. Non-motile male gametes are going to be enters inside the pollen tube. These are the events in the pre-fertilization steps. Okay, pre-fertilization. So means before the fertilization the process is going to be takes place. So here the pollen tube, finally here there is a ovary, and it is going to reach the base part of the ovary, and the fertilization also takes place at the base part of the ovary. So here the formation of female gametes, what is that process we call? The process of formation of female gametes is known as megasporogenesis. Megasporogenesis means here formation of megaspores. Megaspores is nothing but female gametes. So female gametes or male gametes both are going to involve in the meiotic division, the reduction division, haploid division, and then only they can able to form the female gametes. So this female gametes only 3 is going to be utilized. 3 female gametes are going to be utilized, and then one is going to degenerate. So after meiotic division, so it forming 4 megaspores. This in the male megaspores. So 3 are going to be utilized for the reproduction or fertilization, and one is going to degenerate. That is about the pollination. So here you have to know some more information about the pollination. See, pollination is 2 types. Okay, so pollination, self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination is very simple. The fertilization or the pollination takes place in the same flower. Male gamete of the same flower is shifted to the female gamete of the flower. So here the pollination takes place in one flower only. So that type of pollination is known as self-pollination. And if the pollination takes place between the 2 flowers or 2 plants, is known as cross-pollination. Cross-pollination means male gametes of one flower is reaching the female gametes of one flower, and that pollination is known as cross-pollination. Okay, 2 types of pollinations. And then, so one more important point, that is monocarpellary plants and multicarpellary plants. Mono means single. If the plant contains only one carpel, is known as monocarpellary. Okay, if like mangoes. And if the plant is having the many carpels, is known as multicarpellary. Another important point, see 4 keywords I am explaining, very important and short answer questions. So these are one thing. First one is monocarpellary, multicarpellary, syncarpous, and then apocarpous, after that self-pollination, cross-pollination. So the pollination of same plant, the pollination between the same plant, female reproductive part and male reproductive part, is known as self. And different plants or different flowers, different plants, the pollination between two plants, not different, they have to be same kind of flowers, and but here between the two plants. And monocarpellary, single carpel, and here many carpels. Syncarpous, very important point and very important short answer. Syncarpous means here combined pistil. It contains the combined pistil. Write the examples also. Example, tomato, cucumber. Tomato and cucumber. Okay. Next, apocarpous. Apocarpous means free pistil, means it is not attached with the thalamus. Free pistil. It is not attached with the thalamus part. That's why it is known as free pistil. So example, see here I am writing lotus vinca. Okay, lotus vinca. There free pistils are present, they are not attached. Okay, these are the very, very important short answer questions. Okay, so next we are seeing the pollination completed. Now last step in the sexual reproduction, that is fertilization. Okay, so in the fertilization process, what I said, so fertilization process, male gametes, see these are the male gametes are through the pollen tube, they are reaching the ovary, which contains the female gametophytes. So inside it contains the egg cell, and here it contains the central cell. Very important, very simple. So ovary contains normally 2 types of cells, central cell and egg cell. So central cell with nucleus, 2 nucleus is known as, here this nuclei is known as polar nuclei. Middle central cell lo unde nuclei ani munna polar nuclei. So male gamete, first male gamete is going to fuse with the egg cell, first fertilization with the egg cell. Then second male gamete is going to fused with the polar nuclei. Second cell is going to fused with the polar nuclei. So once again I am writing here. So fertilization, in the fertilization, see fertilization process. So 2 male gametes So first male gamete is going to fuse with the egg cell, and forms a zygote. Next, second male gamete is fused with the polar nuclei in the central cell, and it forms endosperm. Okay, so this zygote is formed as embryo. Embryos are formed as seeds. Zygote develops as embryo, embryos are developed as seeds. Next, endosperm. What is the function of endosperm? Nourishment to the embryo. It gives nourishment or nutrition to the embryo. Okay, so that is about the fertilization. So here 2 times the fertilization takes place. That's why it is also known as double fertilization. Okay, so this is all about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So thanks for watching, and if you have any confusions or doubts, everything, you please comment in the comment section. And for more videos, please do subscribe my channel Smarted Bio by Prashanti ma'am. So thanks for watching. I will be back with another new topic, so from the NEET, CBSE, anything it may be. So but if you want any particular topic, please comment or please send a message. Okay, thanks for watching.